It's episode 2 of We Were Gamers. We made it to episode 2, JJ.
We have made it to episode 2. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh. Well, if you didn't listen to the first podcast, oh man, I already screwed up.
Nah, it's fine.
It's over.
We'll do it live, Andrew. It's fine.
We should just quit and start again. No, we're not going to do that.
We're not doing that.
We're not those type of people.
No.
Hey, it's episode 2. If you didn't listen to episode 1, that's probably okay. I wouldn't worry about it. You should probably listen to JJ talk about Dark Souls, though. That was pretty great. I listened to that like 3 times, JJ.
Andrew, why did you listen to it? I mean, it was pretty great. I'm not going to lie. It was good. It was really good. But why did you listen to it 3 times?
Well, we can get into that in a minute. But for those of you that didn't listen to episode 1, don't worry, we're not offended. And just to give you a short rundown of what we're doing.
You would have to do a lot to offend us, I think.
Oh, yeah. It's factual. That's factual.
Yeah.
Quick rundown. What we're doing. This is Andrew. That's JJ. And we were gamers. We don't have a lot of time anymore. But we didn't want to stop doing what we love. So we decided to just talk about it instead. Found an hour. JJ and I live far apart, but we still want to talk games. And we're going to do that while recording it because why not record it?
We were going to have these discussions anyway. So we figured might as well let other people enjoy since we enjoy them.
We hope we enjoy them. Well, we do enjoy them. We hope you enjoy them.
Yeah, Andrew, you do enjoy these, right?
Previous to recording them or now?
TVD, I guess.
JJ, why did I spend 3 or 4 hours listening to the last podcast a bunch?
I don't know, Andrew. I want you to tell me.
Because my microphone sucked.
Oh, okay.
It was terrible, remember?
Well, it was hard to hear it in the call, like, at least immediately.
Okay, well, what was the worst problem with it was that JJ and I both noticed that you could hear an echo of JJ talking in the background every time I started to speak, and my mic gated, and then you could hear him. So, yeah, I spent 3 or 4 times going through the podcast, cutting out all my extra audio, and that was not fun.
Yeah, I can go ahead and vouch for I did attempt at editing it also, and yeah, the echo was definitely there. It was, hopefully, in the end product, you couldn't hear it. So, lucky for all of you out there, didn't have to listen to that. Hopefully.
But these new velvety, silky tones coming to you from a brand new microphone, JJ.
Oh, you got a new one. Awesome.
I did. Audio Technica 2020. I'm a professional podcaster now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so like give me the deets, man. I need to know the setup. I'm looking to get a new microphone eventually too.
All right, so I didn't get the huge set. You know, have you seen those guys that have like 17,000 knobs on their desk and makes them look really important, and they like adjust them by a micrometer?
Well, those are like, isn't that like a mixer board or whatever? You have like 700 inputs and you get one output or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who else are you recording?
I didn't do that.
Okay. I don't blame you. That seems excessive.
I got this cool microphone that everybody uses called the Audio Technica 2020. And instead of buying the version that you plug into a soundboard and then you plug in a soundboard to your computer and you've got 9 million controls everywhere, they just decided, hey, a lot of these guys use it for podcasting. Why don't we make one with a USB cable attached to it? Boom. Sold.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I bought one of those, and I've got this little fuzzy thing on it so that I don't sound as terrible as I did last time.
A pop screen? Is that the term for that thing?
I thought that kind of looked dumb, so I just got a sock for the top of it.
Okay.
Not a sock from my drawer, but like a wind sock, which supposedly does the same thing. I don't know. I'm not an audio engineer, but hopefully it sounds okay.
Neither am I. So, hey, you could just tell me whatever you want, and I would believe it. That's the best part.
I think you're more of an audio engineer than I did. You taught me a phrase before we even started. What was that?
The live to tape phrase?
I still don't understand your description of what the heck that was.
Okay, so if you record something live to tape, it means you're recording it live. So all the sound cues and stuff have to go on at the same time. If you have music or you want to cut to ads or whatever, like if you're going to do all that stuff, you have to play all those live. But you just record the live playing and then put out the tape.
So it's just recording a live performance.
Yeah.
So why don't they just call it a recording? Why 3 words?
As opposed to just recording something and then editing it afterwards. You just record the live performance and you just put the live performance out. There's no editing. Or you edit on the fly, right? It's like TV, right? Isn't broadcast TV done that way, or in theory, like your local news or whatever?
Live to tape?
I think that's true.
I don't know. Those guys are so practiced. I wouldn't be able to know the difference.
I think you don't watch enough local news to say that they're so practiced.
I don't think I've watched local news, and I'm not even going to put a number on it because somebody will call me out and say, like, you watched local news XYZ time, and I don't remember is the point.
Okay. Well, not that I watch a lot of local news, but I have seen some local news broadcasts in my recent times. And yeah, those people are not, I don't know, it feels real shoestring in a way I don't remember them feeling when I was younger. Hard to know if that's like because I was younger and didn't know what good TV looks like, and now that I do, I realize that these things are cheap, or just that no one watches live local news anymore, so they are cheap because no one watches them.
I'm going to go with option B, yeah, because if they had the news on Netflix, I would watch it there.
Would you, though? I mean, they do, right? Isn't, what's his name? The guy who does The Daily Show now, that isn't Jon Stewart, whose name I just forgot.
Oh, John Oliver?
Okay, yeah, he's not Jon Stewart, but yeah, sure, that's not also The Daily Show, but whatever, yeah, I like that show better anyway.
Oh, I thought you were mentioning a person on The Daily Show. John Oliver's on HBO, and I have no idea what Jon Stewart's doing other than...
Nothing. He's directing bad movies, I think, is what he's doing now.
You don't think he's just really super sad that he quit before Donald Trump was running for president?
Oh my god, yeah, he's probably so mad.
Oh my god. We shouldn't do politics on this show.
No, we're not going to talk about politics.
JJ, I think we've apologized for my terrible audio. Oh, I didn't finish, though.
Oh, yeah.
So my stand didn't come yet, but I got a cool little stand that gets this thing off the desk, so it's not doing what it's doing right now, where I have like a tower of books and then a microphone standing on top of it. Mm-hmm. So, next time we record, I'll look even more professional. And then a little shock mount, and it all ran $208.
Oh, that's real reasonable, actually.
Yeah, well, considering we're going to do this, I think $200 is a worthy investment considering how bad my microphone was the first episode.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this to you before, but I've been on and off throughout the years looking at getting a standing desk to replace this one that I use now that is kind of bad. Yeah, just I feel like I have space. I need to get a new desk because this current one needs to be like double the longness, and it's not. And so I've been wanting to get a standing desk just because it would be nice to be able to move it up and down so that I can sit when I need to, play some kind of game that's like really intense or whatever. But like a lot of the times, if you're just gonna play, sit back and chill, some kind of thing, you could just stand up and play it equally easy.
I've developed 3 questions in the short time you were talking.
Oh wow, that was okay, great, yeah, 3. All right, we're gonna start at number 2. Ask me the second one.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, you threw me off. Number 2. Okay, number 2 was how much stuff is on your desk that you need it to be extra wide?
Oh, I just mean that because I have fitting 2 widescreen monitors takes up the entire width of my desk, right?
What else do you need on a desk other than your monitor? I mean, I have 2 widescreen monitors, my speakers, another computer, and my computer tower on my desk, and I have what I would consider to be a normal sized desk.
Okay, I think this is a small desk, but I have the 2 monitors, and I have speakers and like my keyboard and stuff, and that's basically the entire surface area of the desk.
Is it weird that I've been to your house multiple times and I don't think I ever saw your computer setup?
And there's not really anything to see. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's a computer in a room.
It's just weird to me.
Yeah, I think the room is kind of messy in general. I have been looking for reasons to change it, and getting a new desk would be a good reason to do that.
Okay, which question number 1 do you... 1 or 3?
Well, okay, we'll go back to 1.
Back to 1. Are you talking about a convertible stand-up desk or a non-convertible stand-up desk?
Do you mean like a desk that can be both standing and sitting, or what? Define convertible.
So convertible would be... You can always sit at a standing desk with a stool, but a convertible one would be... my wife has one that at work that weirdly they tried to convince all the people who have standing desks not to get them. I don't know why.
What?
I don't know. Anyway, because standing desks are supposedly very good for you. Convertible would mean you would sit in a normal chair rather than on a stool, so the monitors and keyboards and everything else could move up and down on some sort of rail system or whatever scissor action.
Sure. So I think the ones I have been looking at are powered, so they would move up and down on some kind of motorized thing.
You're like major investment talking here.
I mean, if I'm going to buy a desk, I don't want to buy another desk, because desks are a pain in the butt to like move around. So if I'm going to get one, I should just get one and then be done with it. Right. I had the same philosophy several years ago with buying a chair. You may have remembered when we talked about this. I bought like a fancy office chair to sit in my room, and it cost quite a lot of money, as office chairs do.
I desperately need a new chair.
Go to those like I forget what the name of the one around here is, but like they're trial places for fancy wellness kind of chairs or whatever. Try them all out and then order the chair online. All right, so then now we're on to question 3.
Are you prepping by getting a standing desk for VR so that you can dance around and duck and do all that sort of stuff?
I wasn't thinking about that, but I suppose that's an ancillary benefit. So, yes, I'll just say that I was. Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds better to say that I was thinking about that.
So is this in the immediate future?
I mean, like, 3 to 6 month kind of future.
Nice.
Probably.
Okay. Well, remind me next time that we're down there if you have purchased it.
Yeah.
To come actually look at your computer setup.
Yeah, I'll be hopefully happy to show you at that time.
Nice. All right. Well, you and I both know what we've been doing game-wise, but what have you been doing since we recorded last?
What else have I been doing since we recorded? There has not been a ton of stuff. Oh, actually, we did go to, my girlfriend and I went to a kind of it's like a dinner party. Yeah. A friend of ours has been taking a class on wine, specifically French wine, I guess. And she was super excited about this class and how much great wine she was tasting and how much fun she was having at the class. So she decided to replicate the class for a bunch of her friends, with the, I guess, stipulation that everyone had to bring some kind of foods and she was going to supply all the wine. Generous. Yeah, well, I mean, it was like 9 people, so it wasn't like a ton of wine, and it's really only tasting. We're not there to get like wasted or anything. And then everyone would bring like, this person had to bring it. So we had a cheese with every course. And we had some kind of food with every course. And so then we tasted like, I think it was 6 wines and a champagne. And so we had like 5 different cheeses and like, chocolates for the last one and all kinds of stuff like that. It was pretty fun. Really, really cool. Nice. I learned stuff about French wine, but I have also immediately forgotten nearly all of it.
I think that just goes with the territory. I don't know that you memorize anything about wine until you've had it like 17 times.
I did remember that I learned the region of the wines that I like is the Rhone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I noticed the types of grapes they grow there are in types of wines that I know that I like from California. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know these ones. These are all great together. And yeah, it turns out they are.
So you're a real big fan of anything from Paso Robles then?
Oh, yeah, GSMs are really good, Andrew. That's Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre. Yeah.
For all grape varietals, for those of you that are not wine drinkers out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It sounds boring, but like it actually is really fun to read about how, the various wines are made, and like it's super regulated over in France, I guess. There's like all kinds of rules about like what kinds of wines you can grow in every single region, and if you grow a different kind of grape, you can't call it a certain thing unless it's from this specific location. And you just think like, hey, it's grapes, who cares? But no, they take it super seriously over there.
Well, what's funny is that France used to be the gold standard of defining wines and all this sort of stuff. And from what I've gathered, pretty much every other place in Europe emulated a little bit, but really, if you were from Italy or from Spain, you kind of just threw red wines together and it didn't really matter what was in it. And then we started growing wine in the United States, and because they love marketing everything, they decided to say, hey, we could probably make a lot of money if we marketed every single varietal separately and then taught people about each single grape of wine, you know. And thus now us in California especially, think we know a ton and request single grapes a lot of places in our wines, and the rest of the world laughs at us because they think that's ridiculous.
It is true though. There are a lot of really great blends out there that people don't give a chance. I think because they choose to decide that, oh, I don't want to be a fancy person or whatever. And actually, some of those wines are great.
No joke. Speaking of GSM, yeah.
Okay, yeah. What's up?
No, that's what I mean. Is like that's one of the
exactly right
easy ones to go to.
Yeah, there was a really good one of those I had recently. It was from Paso Robles. What a surprise!
Okay, well, let's get to it, man. You and I have been playing Diablo since last.
We got up to some Tristram adventuring. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
We got leveled quickly by a friend who had already been playing for a while in this season of Diablo, and so therefore bypassed, what would you say, 3/4 of the season journey?
I don't know. How long is the total journey, though? Do we actually know?
Oh, good point, because you don't... as we described last time, you have certain objectives, and they break them into chapters 1 through 4, but once you finish chapter 4, you move on into, what would you call it, like bonus time objectives.
Yeah, like, these are really hard, but here you go, try and do this stuff kind of things.
Exactly. So, given that you have to do some of that stuff to increase your backpack size permanently, which, sounds really boring to people that don't play Diablo. Who cares how much backpack space you have? But if you do play Diablo and somebody told you could increase your stash tabs by 1, you'd probably start openly weeping and say how.
You wonder that people that came to this game more recently, how much they feel that incentive, because it feels so different from how it used to be, like after they made the expansion and a lot of the changes that came with after that, like immediately. Because stash tabs used to be so rare. Like, it was so hard. Like, you would have so much stuff, and you really, really wanted to keep all of them, but there's no space, and now you got to choose one of those swords, and you got to disenchant it. And it's the worst feeling.
Well, in Kanai's Cube, it's an item in the game that removes special powers from legendary items. Kanai's Cube alleviated a lot of this problem because you're like, well, I really want my sword to summon a whole bunch of cows to follow me around when I hit things, even though that's ridiculous.
The ridiculous part is fun, though.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to keep that in your stash if you were running out of room. But now you can just turn it on from the cube anytime. So I still think that some of us that play more often see the benefit of the stash tab and thus chase it. But I wonder, how many people get past chapter 4?
Yeah, it definitely is something I wonder. Maybe people out there will let us know if they have ever felt the need, the space pressure. I know, games like World of Warcraft and stuff had that kind of pressure too, where you just like, I really need like one more slot in my backpack.
Sure. I do wonder, is it a small minority of people? Maybe somebody will tell us. I've never run out of space and I've never bought any tabs. And I'll just reevaluate my entire Diablo existence.
No, you won't. That's not true. Don't worry, he won't change.
Do you think we were worried last time that we weren't going to enjoy this season as much because last time was kind of such a huge change and it was your first tiptoe back into the game? I know we've only probably played like 6-7 hours, but what do you think?
So far it's pretty interesting. We should mention I'm playing a wizard this season, which I don't think I had gotten one of those to max level before. Maybe I had. And you are playing a witch doctor, right?
Witch doctor, yeah.
Yeah. So 2 magical kind of focused classes, although your class is more similar to the Diablo 2 style kind of pet class, right? When it summons a bunch of dogs and stuff.
Yeah, so the wizard class that you have kind of relies on magical abilities to keep itself alive and also do tons of damage very quickly, whereas the Witch Doctor Club build that they are suggesting for this season by giving out the armor pieces is what they call a pet class, which means you summon a whole bunch of little minions like dogs and giants and imps and all sorts of little dudes that run around and do the
I
work
have
for you.
seen about 60 guys following you around sometimes. Last time we played, what are those little guys? Are those the imps, the like little ones?
Oh yeah, they call that the fetish army.
Okay. There was a lot. Like, thank goodness they don't block my pathing or my character would literally never move.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you can get, some guy has built it so you can get up to 31 of those and something else, like 8 dogs and 1 giant and a
like
voodoo.
All at the same time?
Yeah, so you can
Oh
have
my God.
around 40 pets out at once.
Wow.
It's insane.
I want to see that really bad.
I know, but you'd have to see it from my screen because they kind of smartly and sadly block that stuff from your view.
Okay. I'll have to maybe you'll take a screenshot or something and show me.
Sure.
That'd be cool. But yeah, it's been pretty good. The the leveling process, once we found that friend to boost us up, got through pretty quick. I'm not really impressed so far with the set they're giving away for Wizards this season. It kind of seems like a lot of people don't really like it that much. All of it seems to revolve around the slow time effect, which I haven't really messed with it too much in the past, so I'm not terribly sure how it works, but it seems to create a big bubble around you and some of the space around your character, large enough for several people to stand in if you wanted, and then confers bonuses to you and penalties to enemies and bonuses to your allies and that kind of stuff that are inside the bubble. It just seems to promote a lot of like, stand still, kill things, move, okay, stand still, kill things again. I don't know how interesting that's going to be to play.
Well, last season you played a demon hunter, and the set they gave out you just changed mid-go.
Yeah, the initial set they gave out for demon hunters last season was kind of bad also, so I'm sort of wondering if they did the same thing again. Or maybe this is just like the case with all the classes. The initial set they give you just isn't really the best one.
They have to eventually be working through basically every class's sets, right?
You would think, right? I mean, if their plans are to continue updating this game over a long enough period, eventually they'll run out of sets, unless they're not adding new ones, right? They're just redoing old ones.
Yeah.
Are they adding new ones?
They're not, as far as I know, adding any new ones, but I can't imagine there are a large portion of people playing more than, let's say, 2 classes per season.
Not seriously playing them, yeah.
Yeah, so how many sets do you think, how many seasons do you think it would take for the average person to finally get through all these sets? Now, I said that, and then I thought back to last season, and my monk character, I ended up getting almost all the pieces for almost all the monk sets. But my guess is that they're going to keep updating each set each season. They're like, okay, well, that one's outdated, and time to update, these class sets and then these class sets. So the ones you collected last season, they're basically trash.
Oh, you mean they wouldn't update the old ones? They would only put out new versions of those. I think that wouldn't. I would feel like they would if they changed the set bonuses. Although I guess it isn't about the set bonuses at that point, right? When you're chasing those items, you really care about the other things besides the set bonuses, right?
Well, they don't update old items. So if you have, let's say, Ina's mantra set, if they update it in a future season, you have to go get it again. Right?
Well, in the seasons ones, you have to do because you have to start over with the seasons. But if you just wanted to try the new Ina's set, there's nothing stopping you from going on one of your regular characters from past seasons or from just leveling or whatever and use it from there, right?
If you go grind it on a regular character, I guess.
Why would you have to grind it? Didn't you just have an Ina set from before in your stash?
Yeah, but let's say season 7 or whatever, they update the set. The one that's in your stash does not get updated.
But so even if they change the set bonuses, it has the old set bonuses?
I believe that's the case.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't realize that. I would just assume the set bonuses would change since the set is still the set.
It's a good question, but the that's the way it works with like old legendary items.
Yeah. But Yeah, I
guess
don't know.
we're gonna have to wait and find out.
Yeah.
TBD, audience.
Also, we may never come back and figure that out. I think that's
I'm not even writing it down.
Okay. Yeah, good. I'm not that interested in the answer to that, to be honest with you.
It's a curiosity, right? Like, how do you keep people playing? But my guess is most people are interested in playing all the classes, so eventually you're not going to run out of new sets for a very long time. Because you and I only play one character each season, and then it's kind of over.
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like we end up leveling a second character to 70 just because it takes like 2 seconds to do, and then you just throw all the random stuff you get for that second character on there just so you, when you're grinding bounties or whatever, you have something more interesting to do.
Yeah. I didn't miss the leveling to 70 part that we skipped, basically.
Yeah, people that have played this, sort of realize the game sort of begins at the end game, which is the thing that I thought was so cool about last season. By them giving you the sets, you can have access to that end game. I don't know. I'm putting scare quotes up here. What is the end? There is no end in Diablo, but you get access to the sort of the race, the fun, pushing yourself as hard as you can go kind of stuff way more easily without a lot of investment. That's what makes it fun.
I think I didn't remember how long of an amount of time we put in after we finished, quote unquote, the leveling part of it and got all the set stuff, and then had to still chase other things at the very end. Probably took about as much time. So skipping some of that at the beginning was not a bad thing.
Yeah, I think it was definitely good. Especially if you consider, are we going to have to grind 100 Tournament 10 bounties again to get that one stupid achievement of so much gold?
That only took, 2 days last time?
God, that was boring, though. It's just like split farming bounties. You're off doing one thing, I'm off doing another thing until we clear out a map, and then we go to the next one, and just over and over and over.
I agree.
Good way to watch a lot of movies or whatever, though.
Yeah, I got through a lot of Netflix. It was the easiest way to do that, too.
Yeah, it is.
By far.
It's the most guaranteed way. I think there are easier ways, but they rely on luck, and we're not lucky.
Well, if you're playing with me, you won't be lucky.
I think I said the right thing.
You're being kind.
Andrew's bad at dice.
Oh my gosh. Anything with a random roll is just like, I can't do it. And I've never been able to do it. I should just give up.
And that was why when you played Warhammer 40k, you played Space Wolves, right? Because they just roll the most dice so that your chances of rolling poorly will even each other out.
I had to find a happy medium, and we can delve into that in a little bit, but I had to find the happy medium because you could play so many different classes that you could roll a lot of dice, or armies, I guess they're not classes, but you could play Space Orcs, or you could play Imperial Guard. Warhammer 40k, for the uninitiated, there are many video games about this game now, but when we were growing up, Warhammer 40k was a tabletop miniatures game, so you built a bunch of miniatures.
Hold on, I just want to say, I think it still is a tabletop miniatures game.
Oh god, is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that still happens.
I really only am interested in video game versions of this game, because
let me describe. So with you.
Let me describe to you, dear listener, what you have to go through to play 40k.
Yes.
First, you have to read a rule book that is probably 3 inches thick.
That's generous.
You have to buy 100 dice, and then once you've learned the rules, D6 dice. So 6-sided D6. You pick an army that sounds fun to you. Then you go out and you buy, I don't know, JJ, $300 to $400 worth of plastic and metal models.
I think that is a very cheap army you just bought somehow. I want to know how you were able to get away with only paying $300. That's my question.
You can get away with it if you worked for the company or knew somebody that worked for the company, I guess. But that was probably about the only ways.
Yeah, that employee discount.
Then you bought those and you brought them home, and they were unpainted and unassembled. So you spent hours and hours and hours sitting at home painting and assembling, and let's be honest, just assembling, because you never got to the painting because you wanted to get to the playing, which is the whole reason you wanted to play the game. Then you line up your 150 figurines on a tabletop, thus a tabletop miniatures game.
It has to be a big table, though. You need a big table.
Yes, and you line them all up on a table and get a ruler and a bunch of dice.
Oh, you need tape, not just Andrew. A 12-inch ruler is not good enough. You need one of those tape measures that can go in and out, because some people shoot 8 inches and some guys have a move of, all that kind of stuff. You got to have like a tape measure.
Every unit has different rules, different measurements, different everything. And you play the game finally by rolling dice and destroying your opponent's units. I make it sound much more tedious than it was because it was very enjoyable at the time. But looking at it now, and I have a story for you that ties into this. Physically looking at it now, it makes me cringe thinking of the amount of work that would have to go into it to actually fully participate in the hobby. And I mention that because last week I pulled out 2, those large moving boxes at Home Depot, not the medium ones, the large ones. Like you could fit a standing coat rack in.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I pulled out 2 of those and I unboxed them, and I pulled out, let me turn around and count here, 6 Warhammer 40K and 1 Warhammer Fantasy Armies.
Holy smokes. Like full ones?
Oh yeah, full ones for each one, multiple for some of them. And organized all of it. And next week we'll be putting all of it on eBay.
Man, all right.
Yeah. I have probably, I'm not telling anyone where I live because I currently have thousands of dollars worth of Warhammer 40K stuff sitting on my floor.
I think you overestimate the value of that stuff to people.
The current market value is probably pennies.
People that would be interested in robbing you maybe aren't as interested in the Warhammer 40K stuff.
Yeah, if somebody robbed me, they're taking my computer monitor, my TV's downstairs, and stepping all over.
TV and yeah.
Yeah, and then stepping all over the Warhammer 40K on their way out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but I think the stuff that's cool about that tabletop game is when you're playing it, it really gives you a really good sense of everything is very flavorful. All the the lore and the stuff is really deep for each of the units and each of the armies, and it gives you you can have a really fun kind of like a little miniature war game going on, over the course of a couple hours or whatever, and then go back to whatever other stuff you were doing.
I would say best fantasy and sci-fi world building in the genre, hands down, no matter what. They've done an amazing job putting that all together. And that's why I say I'm excited for every single video game that comes out. I cannot tell you how badly I want to play the upcoming Battlefleet Gothic game, because that was, I think, their coolest franchise out of all of them. But like you were saying, the lore of it is so rich that when you look at these models and units, and you can tell they all have stories behind them, and you get attached to them. Like, these things have sat in my closet for years because I was attached to them. I remember being 12 and my dad buying me models for my army, and come bringing them home and being like, I know you've been talking about this Space Wolf Venerable Dreadnought for 3 weeks, and it's a $50 metal model, and hey, congratulations on a good year at school, so here's your $50 metal model. So some one or two of those things might end up staying in my house for sentimental reasons because they are a physical thing that.
Well, and then people, some of them are pretty big. Like you get, they come up to the size of like a keyboard in some cases, right? Maybe not a full keyboard, a half keyboard, and they have these intricate, elaborate designs on all the sides, and you have to they're all come as separate pieces. You have to glue them or epoxy them in a lot of cases, them together, right? And then you have to paint them, and the whole painting is a whole thing. Like it takes a long, you're the best. You got to paint the best units, Andrew. Your best guys. You got to paint them.
Yeah,
it makes them look cool.
Do you know they got rid of the 3-color rule?
That was, man, come on. That was the one thing.
I know.
They got rid of their one thing?
They got rid of the one thing.
Man.
They just wanted people to play the games because they make fantastic video games, and people like us that were the heyday of that company, buying these models and building these armies and everything. We were in the middle of it. We were right there in the thick of the heyday of all this stuff. And then
Was it when they were the biggest? I don't know.
I think so, yeah. In the United States anyway. I know that they're still pretty big in Britain, but the video games is how they're keeping that thing alive, because I would definitely play a video game based on those franchises. They're fantastic, and it doesn't require me to have any physical items lying around my house that my daughter could choke on or my dog could chew up, or invest hours and hours and hours sitting here painting in order to go feel good about playing with it.
Yeah. I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate that you look at all this stuff and you're like, wow, there is literally 4 square feet of floor space taken up with stacks of model boxes in my room right here of stuff that, was super cool and I feel attached to, but gosh, it's just too time consuming. You have to get rid of it.
Yeah. I remembered what I wanted to say earlier when you said we were talking about how like deep the lore is and stuff. Let's be real, the lore is only deep for the Space Marines. All the rest of the units have superficial lore at best.
I'm trying to think on that. I think you're probably right, though.
There's
the
probably
Guard.
Some more. Yeah, I was going to say Imperial Guard and like some of the special units, like the Inquisition and stuff.
Yeah,
those guys have some lore too. But the human race is the one that has the deep lore. All the other alien races have like a little bit of stuff here and there, and then that's kind of it.
They actually invested a lot of time in the Tau race too, in putting in story there, but that's one of the newest ones, so they really fleshed it out. Whereas a lot of the older ones, like Dark Eldar and Eldar has some decent stuff.
Yeah, the Eldar have some stuff. I was thinking of the Eldar actually, as the race that kind of also has some stuff. Andrew, did you know there's a new edition of that game that has come out? Like, whatever edition we played, all of our models obviously have been invalidated since then, because that's how that game works.
I have done a lot of research about how to sell all this stuff and what editions and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. Not only has there been one, there have been 2 editions since we stopped playing that game, and that 4 editions since we started playing that game.
Jesus. Man.
Yeah.
I fell down a wiki hole, I would say like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, well,
Can we come up with a different term for wiki hole?
I don't know, whatever. It's like, you know what I'm talking about, though. Where you click on an article, you're like, oh, that would be cool. I'll read about this Space Marine thing. And then, an hour later, you look up and you're like, oh, God, what did I just do?
Yeah, why am I reading about the Third War of Dunkirk?
Yeah. I don't know what that is, but yes.
I don't know. I made it up, but
it probably happened. The lore is so deep. But so I noticed that the Tau didn't come back for like several editions.
Well, because they were broken.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we ever played against them seriously. Back when we played, I maybe only played like 1 game against the Tau. Maybe because they were stupid.
I'm not certain. I can't speak to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting to see, like, because I remember them being really cool when they released them, and they had a lot of really interesting art and stuff.
How did we even get on 40K?
I have forgotten.
Oh my God, we're terrible at this.
Nah, whatever. It's fine. Warhammer is cool. Plus, there's that new game coming out. Isn't there a Total War? Oh, I guess that's a fantasy game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Total Warhammer? Pretty good name.
They're all connected. Man, I really wish we'd written down how we got here. It'll be fun to listen to later. I was going to say, speaking of things that I don't have time for anymore, I've made an effort in the last week. So you said you went to it, wine tasting, all that sort of stuff. Other than doing 2 house projects, I added a grill to the backyard, a built-in grill.
Oh, sweet.
So up and running for Memorial Day, hopefully. And started digging out all the dead sod in my yard. I decided to remember that I really, really liked reading a lot. And since, a year or so ago, things have gotten pretty busy. And
having children does that.
Yeah. It was kind of a reminder that I really, really should be reading more. So when I pulled all this stuff out, I was like, you can't enjoy every hobby you used to do, but reading's a real easy one if you just force yourself to do it. So I started reading a lot more in the last week or so. I ran into, and I wanted to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
what happens when you run into a bad book?
Mm.
I'm not saying the writer's bad because clearly they wrote a book, they put themselves out there.
Yeah, it's hard to judge art, right? You can't
Yeah.
say...
There's 1,000 different factors that go into saying something is quote unquote bad, but you can't really trash
Mm-hmm.
the person for that. You just have to take the work on its merit. And oh man, I was doing so well. I read 2 short books, and then I started this one, and I was excited to read it, and because the idea sounded cool, and I just cannot.
Are we going to throw this author under the bus by naming their book?
No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna talk hypothetically.
Oh man, it's so much more fun when you can trash talk people. All right.
Yeah,
No. Okay. All right.
I just don't. I wouldn't want somebody trash talking me if I wrote a book.
No, I don't know, but criticism is a thing, and it's allowed. I don't think. That's fine. That's fine. We don't need to name and shame. But what do I do personally?
Yeah, what do you do? Do you?
I avoid that problem entirely by only reading books that I know are good.
Ooh, okay. So how do you judge a book?
Or books that I know I will like, right? So it means I often don't end up reading a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like experimental or a lot of really different kinds of books, unless they get like recommended to me by a bunch of people. So I need like a critical mass of people to recommend something to me before I will consider reading it.
So you only go based on personal recommendation? You don't do any internet stuff or stuff like that?
Maybe if it's like a zeitgeist, like pop culture book kind of thing, I would consider that. If the people around me personally aren't reading it, I would still consider reading it. But other than that, yeah, almost exclusively personal recommendation.
Interesting.
Because I know the various people, right? Like I know the kinds of books you read or the kind of things you like. I know my other friends, the kinds of things they like, and what sorts of books they would read. And then I can put those together in my head and come up with some kind of picture of what I think the book is.
So you've never read a book that you were like, wow, this is really not good?
I mean, I had to do that for like school and stuff, but never for pleasure.
Man, you are lucky.
Not lucky, man. It's planning. There's definitely something to be said about reading books that are not perfect, although I don't know that any book is perfect, but there's some reading, I don't know, something quote bad is good to give you perspective on how hard it is just to write in general. I think a lot of people don't appreciate the fact that writing is really hard.
I wish that people would try it just so they would know how hard it is. Speaking of that, do you read? I mean, you have a bunch of books on your shelf, but do you read on your Kindle?
Yeah, definitely.
You have a Kindle, right?
Yeah, I do have a Kindle. Yeah, I really, really like it.
I bought this past Christmas. I bought a Paperwhite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the one I have.
With the side lighting.
Is it side? I don't know where the lighting comes from.
But it's not like backlit, so it doesn't get in your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I did not believe that I was going to have as wonderful a reading experience as I did.
It's pretty good, dude. Right? Because I try to pretty much every night read a chapter of something. I think I'm in between books at the moment, although I think you gave me some recommendations recently that I'm looking at. You just turn the brightness setting all the way down when it's dark. They turn out the lights in your room and you lie in your bed or whatever, and then with the light setting all the way down and the lights are off, it's perfectly easy to read without having this bright light in your eyes all the time. It's great.
I don't miss the paper. I miss the paper when I think about rereading a book I've already read. Like when I think, you know what, I'm going to go back and reread the X-Wing series books. I really want to go read them in the paperbacks that I have. But if I'm going to read, like when I read Game of Thrones, I was not sad at all that I didn't have to pick up a Game of Thrones volume.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had it on a Kindle.
Mm-hmm. I think I am more interested in rereading stuff in physical form if it's a comic.
Oh, that's a whole different animal.
Yeah. Yeah. I would, I don't know that I would want to read comics on that thing.
Yeah, I don't think I would either. I really, really like it for text. Obviously, a lot of people have complaints about, oh, it's not a physical book, or
And I totally understand that, but I think I'm with you with, if I'm going to go reread all those old, like the old Dungeons and Dragons books, or some of the, the Game of Thrones, or, the Hobbit or whatever, one of those old books that I read when I was younger. It's really, you think about the, having the cover and turning the pages and everything. But, a book I've never read before, it's really, I'll just press this next button on the side of the thing and just tap. It's way easier. I can bring 50 books on a trip and not have to carry them all in my bag. The issue I have really is that my comic book collection grows. Every year I go to Comic-Con.
Why is this an issue?
It's an issue because I'm out of space on my bookshelf now. So I need to get more bookshelves. Or ditch this one and get a couple new ones, so that I can have space to put these things, because now they're going to just start piling up on the floor or something, and that's horrible. No one wants that. The bookshelf is literally full. I need space. It's bad.
I'm surprised. I never saw that coming, of you being the one to accumulate a ton of trade paperbacks and all that sort of stuff.
I don't have a ton.
Okay.
It's because I have a lot of books and stuff that I've kept over the years. And just, stuff adds up, over time. And it is now reaching the point where it has added up too much. The number is now a big number, and it's time to get a thing to hold all this.
It's not the worst thing in the world once in a while to walk in and say, do I need a bigger bookshelf, or do I need to make a Goodwill box? Oh, man, I have a lot of physical books I need to read that are sitting on my shelf, and I need to decide if I want to keep them or get rid of them, because at some point soon we're going to end up building our built-in bookshelves, and I need to know how much space I need.
The answer is more. You need more space. I just answered that one for you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Here to help.
Will you come and just tell me, just point in a general, just walk
that
into
wall,
the room,
the
and be
whole
like,
wall.
this whole wall needs to just, yep.
There you go. All that's books. Done.
But you see, I'm making excuses to read the physical books now. So I'm like, okay, go in there and read another physical book so that you get rid of them.
Yeah, looking at this thing, there's some stuff I could get rid of, definitely. But yeah, there's some stuff I bought relatively recently I think I would keep. I like having some of the older sort of classic books and stuff that I read in school. I like the idea of having them on my shelf, even if I don't know that I would read them again.
You want people to come over and see that you have the Once and Future King, and then they think you're really smart.
How erudite I am for having read the Once and Future King. That book isn't that erudite anyway.
No, it's really not. But,
you
could be like me and have, all sorts of
I mean, sure, I could
Plato
get rid of
and
some
Socrates
of these.
because
I was going to say, get rid of all these Greek plays that I read in college. Yeah, sure, I could do that.
Yeah. I've got...
I mean, I guess, yeah, sure, I could get rid of that. Fine. Okay, if I get rid of all those books, that gives me 2 inches. That's not really enough space.
It's enough space for at least, another Civil War trade paperback, because, they're doing
I'm not going to get the Civil War trade. I'm not going to get the Civil War trade. I'm not. Not. So, did you see that movie? You did not, right? I don't think you did.
I don't see movies very quickly, and it saddens me because I really love movies, but I also, have, what's the theme of this show? No time?
No time.
And B, not a ton of money, so we have to go Sundays for a matinee, which is actually...
to be honest with you, I think the matinees are the way to see movies anyway.
Yeah,
so
let's go on another tangent here for a second. I was never...
There's no topic, so you're not really ever on a tangent. I just want to point that out. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was just warning you that we're going to get lost again.
Great.
Okay. So, I was a diehard, you have to go after dinner at night to the movies person.
Okay, wait a minute. Why?
Because that's how you go see movies, JJ. You got to go at night. It's a commitment to an evening sort of thing. You go out, You maybe grab a bite to eat, maybe take it to the theater, depending on if you're running late. Even if you're just with your buds or if it's on a date or whatever, movies are for nighttime because you're in a dark place. You go out when it's dark.
Man, I have so many issues with that. Okay, let's continue.
Well, I mean, this was my original thought process.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun nighttime thing to do.
It can be,
especially because that's when you had free time, right? You know, like Fridays was a lot of the time that I went to the movies. You'd go after school. You'd go over to whoever's house, drop off all your bags, check in with your parents, and then go to the movies after dinner.
Okay, yeah.
So, much like the tactile feel of books that I'm rereading, movies should be for nighttime. But the matinee on Sunday, there's no one there.
Yeah.
It's cheaper.
These are all the things I was going to bring up.
And you have the rest of your day, and you saw a good movie in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just find a babysitter, it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, dude. I'm all the way on board with morning and afternoon movies. I think it's great. And then, like, if you do it right, well, I don't know, babysitter makes it harder, but go to you might miss the matinee price. I don't know. It depends on when they stop in your local area. But you go to like a 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock kind of movie, the awkward time, because it's awkward for everyone else too. Those late night movies sell out. The 1 o'clock showing, theater's half empty.
Would you ever go to a midnight movie again?
Yeah, totally.
I don't think I would.
Never?
I don't think there's a single thing I can think of that would drag me to a movie in the middle of the night unless...
I can name one right now off the top of my head.
For both of us?
I don't know about you.
Well, you're going to say Fast and Furious 8.
Yes, I am. Any Fast and Furious movie, I will be there at the midnight if possible. It's often not possible, but I want to. In my soul, ride or die.
You can't step away from it, can you?
No, I'm never Andrew, it's family. It's family, Andrew.
I'm trying really hard because I think this mic's more sensitive than my last one to turn away while laughing, but I'm really laughing really hard. I just want you to know.
I have a giant grin on my face because those movies do nothing but make me grin.
Oh man, ride or die, dude, JJ.
Ride or die, Andrew. Rip in peace, Paul. Too soon.
You know, I was actually talking to someone because of this job that I'm on, and something that always bothered me about the Fast and Furious movies is that they'll take production cars and do things with them that are not possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not old enough to know that you could, at one point, at 90 miles an hour, flip a car into reverse and it would still run in reverse. Because any current vehicle, the engine would die immediately.
Right, yeah. Oh, you're saying that like old engines, you could just put the transmission in reverse.
Sure, I mean, if you had,
going?
You had to have a car that was built to do it, right? Otherwise, you just blow the transmission up, which is why they don't allow it in current
because there's
cars.
only one gear in reverse, right? And the thing would just fly.
Yeah, sure. So basically, any current vehicle, you would probably just explode the transmission. But I guess, I mean, clearly because they can do it in movies, there were many people that were able to do this, and I always thought it was comical and farcical because most vehicles that they show doing it cannot do it.
Sure, yeah. Hollywood magic.
You know, Mr. and Mrs. Smith movies where they're doing it in minivans, and you're like, yeah, that's not possible.
No, it's not. Yeah, I suppose, I guess they would, who would think about that kind of stuff, but the mastermind tactician of Vin Diesel would be thinking about, well, when I'm having a shootout with the bad guys, I need to sometimes drive backwards and shoot back at them. It's the easiest way for me to shoot at them, rather than just pointing the gun backwards. If I just turn around and shoot at them while facing them, that's cooler. Yeah, they would think of something like that.
Sure, yeah. This is why you're going at midnight.
Hey, that's why Ludacris is in the movie, because he would think of stuff like that.
Because it's Ludacris. The word, not the rapper.
Yes. And I don't know. I love those movies. I know everyone thinks they're dumb. They're right. I'm also right.
Oh man, JJ. I think on that note, we need to go play some Diablo.
Yeah, man. I'm really excited to get into it this season. I wonder. I really need to know if this set is going to be any good for this wizard. I'm skeptical.
I'm skeptical too, but let's do it. Let's end this thing and get out there. Do it.
All right. Well, Andrew, quick before we end, can you tell the people out there all the ways they can engage with our content?
I can, JJ. And you know what? This time, I promise we're not going to just ramble to a close. Social media, etc. You can reach us on Twitter at We Were Gamers. You could email us at podcast@WeWereGamers. We have the website, weweregamers.com. And I just found out today that we will be live on iTunes this week. What? So you can subscribe there as well. Yeah.
You know what that also means?
What's that?
If people listen to us, they need to rate us on iTunes. They got to give us stars. Some number of stars. I'm not going to tell you how many stars. You know in your hearts how many it should be. It should be 5. But you should give us some stars. That's the point.
Dude, we said we weren't going to ramble to a close. We ruined it.
It's fine. It's fine.
Man. It's, you know what? I do the same thing at parties. I can't leave without saying goodbye to everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. Yeah, I have that problem
It's
too.
the same problem.
This is always going to be like this, Andrew. You just need to give up the dream right now.
Oh my god. All right. Well, I'm Andrew.
And I'm JJ.
This was We Were Gamers.